Let me say this up front. This is not up for vocal debate. And no, this is not a musical versus, and this is definitely not a show about who sold more records. This is definitely about cinema. Ironically, both of these women are legends as icons. But we are talking about two women who entered the film world from music. Although Janet did start as an actress first, but nonetheless. But took two very different paths, made very different choices, and left behind very different kinds of legacies on screen. One chose restraint, the other chose magnitude. And this is a full filmography comparison. Today on CinemaVersus, we are talking Janet Jackson versus Whitney Houston. What's up, what's goody, and what's poppin'? And welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time being here, first of all,
hey, Professor Ogilvy!
Hello! My name is Top Cat. I am your YouTube personality, your reactionary goddess, and your cinema grill. And thank you so much for being here, because you could have been anywhere on Beyonce's good internet, but you were here with me, and I appreciate you for that. If you like what you see upon your big screen, upon your black screen, your black mirror, if you could just do me a favor, join the Fambalam and hit that subscribe button down there, because baby, we're obviously friends now.
We're friends now.
Let's get into today's CinemaVersus. This is a space where we don't crown, well, I don't necessarily, you might, crown a winner, but we do examine legacy, archetypes, and impact. And we do it through conversation, and we let the conversations breathe. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I doing this now? It is Grammys weekend, and what better time to start talking about this, or what better time to fuse the two worlds of music and cinema than to bring up two of the most iconic people that have done it. Whitney and Janet. Two women who have really had kind of the best of both worlds, if you ask. Today's episode isn't just about global impact. It's about the movie icons, and somehow they're also musical legends. And we discuss their work and impact through film, how they've shown up, and what kinds of stories they have told. What did their presence mean on film? So let's start at the beginning. We have 5 categories and rounds. So let's start with round 1, their filmography itself. This round is about the entire picture, not just how they entered through film, but how they fully committed to it. Miss Janet Demita Jo Jackson enters film fully cemented as a global icon. So we're going to fully just focus on her filmography. Yes, she did start as a child actor on television, but we're just strictly talking about film. So her film debut starts in Poetic Justice in 1993. And that matters, because at this point, she's already had her career as Janet Jackson through Control. She's done backup on a couple of her brother's songs. She's the baby of the Jacksons. That matters. So she didn't come through as just a cameo. She doesn't play herself. She doesn't rely on celebrity. Janet enters films quietly. Her presence is subtle, restrained, observant. She never announces herself. She just lets the camera find her. Her peak doesn't come from spectacle. It comes from consistency. From grounded performances that feels lived in, familiar, and human. Poetic Justice. She plays Justice, a quiet, grieving Black woman navigating loss, love, and emotional protection. From there, Janet Jackson has played a bunch of other roles. Nutty Professor 2, The Klumps in 2000, Why Did I Get Married and Why Did I Get Married 2 in 2000 and 2010, and for Colored Girls in 2010 as well. 5 films across nearly 2 decades. Janet Jackson doesn't flood the market, she chooses moments. Her peak is not box office dominance, it's credibility. By the late 2000s, she's trusted with the emotionally mature ensemble work, particularly in Black centered dramas. Her legacy in film is control. She never overlays, she never overstays, and she never overexposes. When Janet Jackson appears, it feels intentional. So her legacy, Janet normalizes softness. She's made emotional restraint a form of power, even when she's going through things. Right? And Why Did I Get Married Too? It is a wildly popular story of how the scene that she breaks down and she smashes up like her apartment is the day that she finds out that she lost her brother, that Michael died. And so she uses that to release her grief. Staying in character, using that pain to transmute it into the scene. Miss Whitney Nippy Houston, fellow Jersey girl, enters the film at the height of her musical dominance. Her debut is The Bodyguard. This is not a soft launch. This is like a cultural event. The Bodyguard wasn't received very well in theaters, by the way. I believe she received a Razzie nomination, if I'm not mistaken. It was panned. It was culturally panned. Her full filmography includes the works of The Bodyguard in 1992, Waiting to Exhale in 1995, The Preacher's Wife with Denzel Washington in 1996, The Cinderella Movie with Brandy in 1997, and Sparkle in 2012, which unfortunately, due to her unexpected passing, is her last film. Her peak is cinematic dominance. She doesn't ease into the screen, she claims it. Whitney's legacy is elevation. She made Black womanhood feel global, romantic, and destined. And that is just her acting career. Because did y'all know that Whitney Houston was the producer of The Princess Diaries? Editor Top Cat here. Also forgot to mention she was also the executive producer of The Cheetah Girls. Can't forget that. Whitney had an impact, okay? And behind the scenes too. Whitney Houston's career in her peak is in the mid 1990s, where she is simultaneously a box office draw, a soundtrack juggernaut, and a global symbol of Black glamour. Her final chapter in Sparkle carries weight. It's legacy work, a handoff, if you will, a farewell she never got to give in real life, because if I'm not mistaken, she passed away before the movie became public. Whitney's filmography feels like a moment frozen in time. Two arcs, one built intimacy and one built on inevitability. Let's talk about their most iconic role, which is category number 2. When I say quick, think of the most iconic film role of Whitney Houston or Janet Jackson. What comes to mind? For Whitney Houston, the most iconic role has to be Rachel Marin of The Bodyguard. Her debut role. Probably her most iconic soundtrack, now that I think about it, too. The role fused her voice, her image, her vulnerability into one cultural moment. It made romance cinematic again, and it made longing elegant. Rachel Marin is Whitney's most cinematic identity. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments down below. You might think it's Savannah. He's a good man, Savannah.
He's a good man, Savannah. A good man.
We will be talking about the mothers of Black Hollywood in a future episode, so stay tuned for that. Rachel is a spectacle, vulnerability, and desired all at once. She's adored, but yet she's still isolated because of it. The role didn't just define Whitney Houston's career, it was a definition of an era. The Bodyguard soundtrack might as well have been another Whitney Houston album in and of itself. Rachel is where romance and fame and longing collide. Some people might still think that it was a movie about Whitney. Now, for Miss Janet Jackson, again, it might be her film debut in Poetic Justice. It might just be Justice. Justice didn't just dominate the screen, she lingers. That character shaped how quiet black women were allowed to exist in film. Grief without spectacle, love without performance. Justice is quiet, guarded, and tender. She doesn't explain herself, she protects herself. This performance became shorthand for a certain kind of black womanhood. Soft-spoken, wounded, thoughtful, real. Justice didn't shout. She stayed. Justice is Janet Jackson's cinematic fingerprint. I mean, think about how to this day, if you wear a hat with long braids, long thick dookie braids, who do you think of? Janet. I think that might be her most iconic role. Round 3 are the archetypes. Whenever you see these two women on screen, you just know they're going to fall into this category. Whether it's on purpose or on accident. I won't say that they're kind of typecast, but they fall into a type. Janet represents the high priestess. And yes, if you thought I was going for a Hollywood TV trope, you are obviously new to the channel. Hi, I'm a woo-woo. I like to talk about things that are very esoteric. Janet Jackson represents the high priestess of it all. She's very regal. Janet is inward. She's controlled, protective of her emotional world. Her power comes from what she withholds, making her the high priestess archetype. But there's just something about her that you can't touch. Her characters observe. They protect their inner world, their inner peace, and they speak when necessary, but never too much. So when we go back to her characters throughout her filmography, Nutty Professor, she was a teacher. Again, the high priestess is somebody who is super knowledgeable. Why did I get married? She was the one that was supposed to, even though she falls apart at the end of the sequel. Her character was the one that was like the therapist of the group. Very knowledgeable, very wise. But like, I know what's right. I'll give you the advice. Janet's character often observe before they act. They move carefully, and they choose safety often over spectacle. Whereas Whitney, she embodies the star. The star is like finding out that like the power is within you the entire time. But her characters are meant to be seen. Think again, Bodyguard, Sparkle, Fairy Godmother. They are loved. They are chosen. Her presence feels inevitable. Like the story bends to make room for her light. It's something about her essence. She comes off a certain way. Her character is down to earth, but she's still large and in charge. So her archetype is very much the star of it all. When she did Waiting to Exhale, it was after people trashed the Bodyguard, and she had a point to prove. She had to prove, like, I really am good at acting. You just didn't give me a chance. Whitney embodies the star, representing hope and longing and divine gift. Her characters are meant to be seen and loved and chosen, feeling preordained, as if destiny already decided she matters. The preacher's wife, Waiting to Exhale. Even when she's a supporting character for Brandy, which she was originally supposed to be the Cinderella, but by the time that they were able to make the movie happen, she was too old to play Cinderella. So she decided to play the fairy godmother instead and have Brandy play Cinderella. All of these characters show a range, but they are all her as the focus, as the star. 2 archetypes. Inner sovereignty versus outward radiance. Next, we talk about the cultural impact of both of these actresses. So when we talk about the impact that these legends have, both women have left such an impact on music. But when we talk about them as actresses, this is about what shifted because they existed. Janet Jackson changed the emotional language of Black women on screen. She proved that quiet doesn't mean weak, that intimacy doesn't mean submission. Her influence lives in realism and in softness. She's one plenty of awards for her acting, right? She's won NAACP Image Awards, ensemble praise for Colored Girls, strong critical respect for emotional realism. There were some criticism though, right? Fewer leading roles, less box office dominance, but no public career derailment through film. Janet's impact is quieter but deeply influential in how Black women are written. Whenever she's a part of an ensemble, she has a strong ensemble praise. Her long-term respect is because of her emotional realism. Her impact isn't loud, but it is lasting. And Janet helped normalize Black versatility on screen. When it comes to Whitney Houston, though, Whitney is like no small potato neither. Whitney Houston changed the ceiling. She made Black women unavoidable in global cinema. Her impact is scale, is visibility. She's had a few nominations and awards herself. NAACP Image Awards, a couple of MTV Movie Awards, massive soundtrack certifications. I mean, when it came to, I think part of the reason why we expect for movie soundtracks to be bumping is because Whitney set that trend. Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale, Whitney Houston, her and Babyface. Massive box office success, but she did have some criticisms as well. Mixed critical reception for her acting range, the occasional Razzie nominations, like I mentioned, for The Bodyguard. And still, her films reshaped what commercial success looked like for Black women leads, especially if you were coming off of a successful legendary musical career in and of itself. Whitney changed what commercial success looked like for Black women leads. Janet reshaped how Black women are felt, whereas Whitney reshaped how Black women are seen. And now we have our final round, which I like this round. This might be low-key my favorite round. We have core fear versus core desire. And this is the real soulful round. This is not about the actor, but the pattern that repeats across their roles. For Janet Jackson, her core fear is the loss of autonomy. Based off of the patterns of which she's played across her filmography, her core fear is loss of autonomy, being consumed, being controlled, misunderstood, which I think correlates with her music now that I think about it. Think about like Danita Joe, Control, Janet. Her core desire is self-definition, safety within intimacy, to be loved without being owned. Her characters protect their inner world, even when they open their hearts. Her core desire includes emotional safety, self-definition, love without possession. Her film chooses reflection over protection. They love, but carefully. They open up, but slowly. They always seem aware of what it costs to be misunderstood. And that goes back to Janet's core fear. It feels like losing control of her inner world and being consumed, being defined by someone else. Her core desire is safety, to be seen without being taken, and to be loved without disappearing. Whitney's, on the other hand, her core fear is abandonment. According to the roles that she's played throughout her filmography, her core fear is abandonment, being in love for the gift but not for the woman. And her core desire is devotion, to be chosen fully, voice, flaws, heart, and all. Her characters yearn, even in strength, there is longing. Based off of her core fear of abandonment and being valued only for the gift, you have the core desire of devotion, emotional visibility, being chosen completely, and her film choices reflect the longing. Whitney's characters move differently. They want to be chosen fully and out loud. I mean, think about Savannah. Savannah was pining after a married man for a while until she realizes, I don't want to be with a married man.
Mama, I tell you what, why don't you fucking marry him then?
There's a longing that runs through her roles, even when she's powerful. Rachel longs for love, even when she is being adored, but she feels isolated. She has to worry about some stalker fan trying to kill her. Whitney's core fears feel like abandonment and being valued for the gift, for her voice, for what she does for people, but not valued for who she is as the character, as the woman, as a person. So her core desire is devotion. Her core desire is not the applause, it's her presence. It's not the adoration, it's the commitment. So, in closing, this isn't about who was better, it's about the two paths, one built on protection, the other on exposure. Both built on legacy, both are legendary, on screen, on wax. This is now turned over to you. Which one do you resonate with? Do you protect your power or do you risk your heart? This has been CinemaVersus. As per usual, protect Black art and stream Black stories. Thank you so much for making it this far. Definitely let me know in the comments down below if you disagree with me about like what you think is their most iconic role. If you think that Janet has a more iconic role than Justice from Poetic Justice. If you think that Whitney has a more iconic role than Rachel from The Bodyguard, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And who do you think won CinemaVersus this week? Either way, definitely vote. I will let you know the official winner of this week's episode in the next week's episode. You can vote in various ways. The official community tab, in the comments, anywhere that you see the official CinemaVersus poll, definitely put in your vote. Because every time I tell people the results, they get mad at me like I made the choice. I didn't vote. I don't vote. This is a community thing. Anyway, if you made it this far and you have not joined the Fam Blam, then baby, what are you doing? You have to join because at this point we're no longer just friends.
We are a family, like a giant tree, branching out towards the sky.
I love you so much. And I don't just love you because you watched my video. I love you because you matter. We need your light and you're freaking amazing. Until I see you next time. Bye.